In 1999, Sierra Leone is gripped by severe political turmoil. Rebel groups like the Revolutionary United Front routinely terrorize rural areas, targeting the Mende population and forcing many into slavery to mine diamonds, resources that fund their escalating war campaign. Our story opens with Solomon Vandy, a humble fisherman, waking his son Dia to get ready for school. They live in a village called Ment, where Solomon shares a peaceful life with his wife, Jassy, and their 3 children. On their way back from school, Solomon and Dia are alarmed to spot rebel forces approaching their village. In a panic, they rush home. Solomon quickly hides Dia and hurries to help his family escape. While Jassy and the children manage to flee, Solomon is captured by the rebels. All the surviving men and boys are gathered by the rebels. Their leader, Captain Poison, declares, "No hands means no voting," implying brutal punishment. Fortunately, Solomon is spared from mutilation, but is taken away to work in the diamond mines. In the following scene, men discuss how the diamonds they mine are used to finance the ongoing civil war. Van de Kaap, a powerful diamond trader, is shown to be involved. Meanwhile, Captain Poison oversees the workers. When one man tries to secretly pocket a diamond by hiding it in his mouth, the captain immediately shoots him. Soon after, we're introduced to Danny Archer, a South African smuggler and former soldier. He meets with Commander Zero, who pays him in diamonds. Later, Danny disguises himself as a photographer but is stopped at a checkpoint. Soldiers discover the smuggled diamonds. He attempts to bribe them, claiming he's close with Colonel Coetzee, but the soldiers aren't convinced and he's arrested. While working in the diamond mines, Solomon discovers an enormous pink diamond. He hides it between his toes and slips away to bury it. Just as he finishes, Captain Poison catches him, but before he can act, the army launches an attack, injuring the captain. Solomon quickly hides the diamond and is then captured and imprisoned. Later, in prison, Solomon, Danny, and the wounded Captain Poison all end up in the same cell. Captain Poison demands to know where Solomon hid the diamond, calling it the biggest he's ever seen. Danny overhears their conversation as the captain is dragged away. Realizing the diamond's value, Danny orchestrates a way to get Solomon out of jail, and the plan succeeds. Now both men are free. Sometime later, Danny meets a woman named Maddie Bowen at a beachside bar. They exchange flirtatious banter, and she asks if he's a smuggler. Danny jokingly calls himself a soldier of fortune. When she reveals she's a journalist looking into diamond smuggling in Van de Kaap, Danny brushes her off and leaves. Meanwhile, Dia is captured by the RUF rebels and taken to their camp. Danny travels to Cape Town, where he meets with Colonel Coetzee, who has been hired to eliminate the rebels. The colonel knows Danny is after the rare pink diamond. Danny goes back to Sierra Leone, finds Solomon, and promises to help reunite him with his family in exchange for his help in retrieving the diamond. Back in the rebel camp, Dia and other young boys are brutally beaten and indoctrinated. They're brainwashed and trained to become child soldiers. Dia, blindfolded, is forced to execute a young man. Soon after, Captain Poison promotes him, making Dia a child commander in the rebel army. As night falls, Danny returns to the beachside bar to retrieve a gun. There, he runs into Maddie again. They share a dance and flirt, but the mood becomes tense and awkward, prompting Danny to leave. The emotional tension between them continues to build. The next day, chaos erupts as soldiers patrol the streets and war breaks out. Danny talks to Solomon again about the diamond, reminding him he helped him escape prison and promising to help find his family. Suddenly, the RUF launches a violent attack on the city. Panic spreads as Danny and Solomon flee through the streets. Explosions light up the sky, cars burn, gunfire echoes, and people scream and fall as the city descends into chaos. Caught between the rebels and the army, Danny and Solomon seek shelter as intense fighting rages around them. They hide in an abandoned building where Danny witnesses the RUF executing army soldiers, signaling the army's defeat. That night, the city is engulfed in flames as the RUF celebrates its victory. The streets resemble a war zone, with child soldiers rejoicing in the chaos. Against all odds, Danny and Solomon manage to escape. The next morning, they attempt to cross a bridge guarded by RUF forces. To get past, Danny pretends Solomon is his prisoner and takes out the guards, leaving Solomon stunned by Danny's skill with a weapon. Eventually, the two reach a base camp. Posing as a journalist, Danny meets a cameraman and asks about Maddie, claiming he has the story she's been chasing. When Maddie arrives, Danny offers her information about Van de Kaap, but only if she helps Solomon locate his family. Though she realizes Danny is using Solomon, she agrees to assist. In the following scene, Maddie informs Solomon that she has located his family. They head to a large refugee camp, where Maddie hands a soldier a list with the names of Solomon's loved ones. As Maddie takes photos through the fence, Solomon searches the crowd. Amid the chaos, he spots his wife and family. They rush to the fence and reach out to one another, and Jassy tells him that Dia was taken by the RUF. Overcome with emotion, Solomon screams, only to be struck by soldiers through the fence. It's a deeply moving moment. Later, we see a sorrowful Solomon sitting in a helicopter with Maddie and Danny. His family can't be released until the conflict ends, and he tells Danny that the diamond is buried nearby. Distraught, Solomon talks about his son, while Danny steps aside to speak with Maddie. She confronts him, saying that if people back home knew a diamond ring cost someone else their hand, they wouldn't buy it. Danny asks Maddie to help them get to Kono by posing as a journalist, with Solomon acting as the cameraman. When she refuses, Danny begins explaining how diamonds are smuggled and moved between countries. He reveals that Van de Kapp is fully aware of this process and manipulates diamond prices globally. To support her story, Danny hands Maddie a notebook filled with names, dates, and bank account details, evidence that could expose everything. He tells her his life is now in her hands. Shortly after, Danny, Maddie, and Solomon board a bus with a group of journalists heading to Kono, escorted by the military. Along the way, they come across a group of people who had been ambushed. Suddenly, the RUF attacks, and amid the chaos, Danny, Solomon, and the others jump into a vehicle and escape the gunfire. Meanwhile, inside the RUF base, child soldiers are seen partying. They're armed and given intimidating nicknames like Baby Killer, the Master of Disaster, and Solomon's son, Dia, is now known as See Me No More. The scene turns violent as they launch attacks on innocent villagers. Meanwhile, back in the vehicle, the driver is shot, and the journalists are attacked and killed. Danny pushes the driver's body out and attempts to flee from the RUF. A series of intense action scenes follow as the RUF pursues Danny until he crashes the car. Soon after, Danny, Maddie, and Solomon manage to escape into the jungle, where they are being observed by a local militia. Though intimidating, Maddie successfully communicates with them and even snaps a selfie. Their leader, Ubani, guides them through the jungle to a house surrounded by children. There, they meet Ben, who runs a school aimed at rehabilitating former RUF child soldiers. The next day, while driving, Ben is shot. Danny and the group rush him to Colonel Coetzee's army base for assistance. Once there, Danny is told he must join the colonel in the fight, while Maddie is ordered to evacuate. Danny hands Maddie the notebook to aid her reporting and gathers some supplies. Before she departs on the plane, Maddie gives Danny her number and takes his picture. There's a clear spark of love between them. Not long after, Danny and Solomon split off to search for the diamond. That night, they come under fire from the RUF when Solomon thinks he spots his son, Dia. They hide in the jungle and are later seen walking through a village that has been burned to the ground. Nearby is an RUF camp. Tensions rise when Solomon attempts to go after Dia, and he and Danny argue. The moment becomes highly emotional as Solomon yells at Danny in frustration. As they continue walking, they talk about their families. Danny promises that if they find the diamond, he'll give up smoking. Solomon reflects on peaceful times and speaks lovingly about Dia. Eventually, they locate the mining camp, and Danny calls in an airstrike. That night, Danny wakes up to find that Solomon has gone down into the camp alone to search for his son. Solomon sneaks around and finds Dia drinking and playing cards, but Dia rejects him, calling him the enemy and pushing him away. In the next scene, Captain Poison captures Solomon and demands that he find the diamond. He threatens to kill Solomon's family if he refuses. As the captain holds a knife to Dia's neck, helicopters arrive and begin attacking the camp. Danny engages in a fierce battle with the RUF, while Colonel Coetzee and the chopper unleash destruction on the site. Amid the chaos, Solomon kills Captain Poison and Danny rescues Dia. After intense fighting, Colonel Coetzee lands and orders Solomon to recover the diamond for him. Naturally, Danny doesn't trust Colonel Coetzee, so to protect Dia, he offers him up as leverage. He's willing to do anything to keep the boy safe. They head off in search of the diamond and come across a spot where others have already been digging. As Solomon begins to dig, several soldiers surround him. Danny regains Solomon's trust by joking that it's finally time for him to quit smoking, a callback to their earlier conversation. They outsmart the soldiers and Danny ends up shooting the colonel. But things take a turn. Danny has been shot in the process. Solomon finds the diamond, but Dia points a gun at Danny. Solomon steps between them and reassures his son. expressing his love and telling him everything will be all right. Though they've found the diamond, danger still looms. They need to escape fast. Danny radios his pilot for extraction. As they flee, Solomon carries the injured Danny up a mountain. Danny, clearly in bad shape, gives Solomon the diamond and tells him to contact Maddie once they land. He warns not to trust the pilot and hands Solomon a gun. Suddenly, gunfire erupts. Danny stays behind to cover Solomon and Dia as they escape. Lying against a large rock, Danny calls Maddie, telling her where to find Solomon and Dia. In agony, he shares a final, emotional moment with her, saying he's glad they met. As the plane takes off, he clutches a handful of dirt, takes his last breaths, and dies with Maddie virtually by his side in his final moments. Later, we see Solomon and Maddie in London. Solomon gets into a car where a man offers him a suitcase full of cash in exchange for the diamond. Solomon insists on ensuring both his family's safety and receiving the money. That evening, Solomon reunites with his family at a small airport. He hands over the diamond, and we hear the sound of a camera shutter. Maddie is capturing the moment in photos. We then see her working on her article. The film concludes with Solomon reading Maddie's published piece about blood diamonds in a magazine, which includes a photo of Danny. As Solomon enters a room full of journalists, Maddie smiles, proud of what they've accomplished. Thank you for watching until the end of this video. See you in the next one.